your host every Tuesday night for Zoom at 8. And I am a loan originator, senior originator, senior director at Old Capital Lending. We are a premier provider of debt. And in these difficult times, you want to be aligned with a good lender. It is crazy out there. We've had to do some retrading on quite a few deals. In fact, I had to lock in a deal on Friday. We started out about 4%, I think it was 4.23, and we ended right at 5.99, and that was in less than 60 days. So things are on the move. So if you're looking at a deal and you're not sure where it is, jump on a call with me. That's what I do. All right, call me up. Take 15 minutes of your day out of my day. Let's talk about the deal. Where are you going? Where is it? How, what are you trying to get done here? And let's find out what product is the best. High level, but what we can do to, so you can underwrite the deal. Now, is that going to be the exact loan amount? And is that going to be the exact interest rate? Probably not, but it'll get you started. Okay. All right, Claire, Hob Day. Claire's in the house. Claire is in the house. Claire, how are you?
I was really hoping to sneak into this first session, you wicked woman.
No, you're not getting out, man. You are not getting out.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm really honored to be invited to attend this, just having heard about the Zoom this morning for the first time. So hi, everybody. I'm Claire Hobday. I'm the CEO of BPI. We're a solar EPC contractor based in California, although we do operate nationwide, doing installations on multifamily, shopping malls, wineries, some large residential. We're really happy to be here. We're partnering with Comunify. So Corky and Sarah, hi, great to see you on today. So we're looking to form, strategic partnerships with the likes of asset managers, multifamily investors, to install EV charging stations, carports, solar to as many buildings as we can within California and across the US.
So Claire's Claire or her posses are going to be here next week. All right. Because while I live in California and all of the shenanigans are going on in California, we all drive Teslas, right? It is going to happen across the nation. You have to all be aware sustainability is going to happen in other states. You need to be aware of it. Okay. I'm in a ground up construction in Texas, outside of Austin by the Gigafactory. I know. We put in these, the charging stations. It's happening. You're going to need and want to know about this. And I think it's going to be super helpful to hear from Claire and her company, what that looks like, what the cost is looking like, and how it can help your NOI. This is real life, real application. You're going to need to know it and how it's going to affect your business. Now, you might not be doing that today, but you're going to be doing it tomorrow, maybe in 6 months or a year. Okay, you got to know it. Just be aware. That's why you come to Zoom at 8. Okay.
Thank you. Right. Thanks, Julie. Yeah, and not only that, but the investment tax credits that are coming out of the Inflation Reduction Act that just was passed make installations super tasty. So we're researching all of that. We're working with tax advisors to really be able to be the advisors to multifamilies that want to install solar and benefit from the tax credits from it.
Okay, don't tell any more information. We have to have something to get them here next week, Claire. Okay.
All right. I'll be silent now. Thank you.
All right, Claire. Thank you so much for showing up here. Let's get to the goods. All right. So let's go ahead and get on with the show. All right. If you guys would first do this, go to the right-hand side of your screen. There is a little 9 little boxes. It says view, go to speaker. Now you can probably see me. Okay, hi. All right, so this gives us, the speaker, all of your attention, so you don't have to look at anybody else. And I want to turn it over to Sarah Flores. I met Sarah at our Old Capital Conference, which took place about 3 weeks ago in Dallas. So Sarah Flores, she has over 12 years of information technology, sales, and customer relationships management. She joined Comunify Solutions, and she continues to educate her clients on the benefits of a true and quantifiable value add to new acquisitions, properties in the multifamily space with a managed Wi-Fi, RUBS, and solar billing offering. So Comunify Solutions is a nationwide prop tech company, which is located in San Antonio. They help boost your NOI. They manage productivity. They deeply enhance the tenant experience using their subscribed services. And people who use them, this is what they state. This Comunify Solutions help them improve their overall value of their asset. They help reduce costs. They are a tremendous value. They attract investors to their deal. The subscribed services are provided, that they provide are solar billing, RUBS, Wi-Fi. And so let's go ahead and dive into this, because again, if you don't know how to increase the NOI, okay, you've got all of your other income. You've looked at all of the dog parks. You looked at the water conservation, okay? You've looked at RUBS, but maybe you're not thinking about other ways of other income. Here are the ways. Here's other things to be thinking about, okay? So Sarah, welcome to Zoom at 8. How are you tonight?
I am well, thank you. Thank you, Julie. Hello, everybody. I am going to apologize up front. I am having a little problem with my voice, as you can probably tell. This is not normal. I may have to cough and drink some water throughout, but I'll get through it, and hopefully everybody enjoys it, learns something, and we connect after.
Well, good. We will not judge you at all.
Please don't.
So listen, I know a lot of people have heard of RUBS, or at least they have heard of it, but they might not know exactly what it is. So what I'd like to cover tonight is, what is RUBS? How do you take care of RUBS? What does that look like? I'd also like to talk about Wi-Fi and how does that look differently from your standpoint? I know that there's cable programs or cable contracts. How does that look different from Comunify Solutions? Also would like to dive into solar billing. I know next week we're going to talk about solar and the application there, but the billing of solar, because that's going to be something that obviously we're thinking about sustainability.
Right.
And then how the billing goes. So let's, with that, knowing what the agenda is, let's dive into RUBS.
It's RUBS. Okay. You just switched it up on me, huh?
Yeah. Let's dive into RUBS first.
Okay. So if everybody's not familiar with what RUBS is, basically what it stands for is Ratio Utility Billing System. And what typically happens in an apartment complex or community is you have a flat fee for everyone when it comes to utilities, or no fee. It's included in your rent. And what RUBS does is it takes into account persons inside, so total occupants in each unit, the square footage, the amount of the number of rooms you have, as well as the appliances, and takes that into this really complicated ratio and comes up with a number that's divided more fairly and accurately per tenant, instead of just getting a giant bill to the property and then that's divided between everybody. Because if I'm John Smith and I work nights and I sleep all day, I'm probably using a lot less utilities than Kathy Johnson, who runs a daycare out of her home during the day. So RUBS does this when you don't have sub-metered. It's a ratio format that calculates more accurate for your tenants. Now, what we do is we don't have any say in the rate, right? That we're not giving you any cost savings on your bill per se. But what it does is we give the tenants a look into their bill. And this is something I like to call conservation by consumption awareness, because when people can see how much they're consuming directly correlates to how much they're paying, people start to think twice about taking a 20-minute hot shower or leaving the faucet running when they're brushing their teeth. So just being aware that their bill is now broken into these subcategories and they can see their consumption tends to lead to some, not conservatives, some savings, I guess you could say. So what we do is we take the bill, we break it down, and we show that to the tenants. This helps property management. They're keeping their costs down. The residents aren't coming to them complaining. They'll be able to detect, is there an anomaly somewhere? You know, on my bill, the property overall bill is so much higher than last. What's going on? You know, who's got a streaming fantasy football in their apartment with 14 people or whatever it is. You know, you can calculate that a little bit better. So RUBS is kind of the ratio that goes behind showing people what their bill is looking like versus it just being lumped into your rent or is just a line item or no idea whatsoever. We provide that billing that is the detail behind the bill.
How often do residents get a look behind the curtain of how much is being used at their unit or at the property? Is that typically for people here? How often is that shared?
So what they're going to see is just their typical bill from property management, right? So if property management gets it every week, 2 weeks, monthly, that's what they're going to see. We can kind of take it a little bit step further because we can, once we put the ratio, or if you do metered, obviously, you can calculate it a little bit better in real time with more accuracy. I don't think when they're getting bills, well, I know the bills from property management, they're just coming from the utility companies. There's no breakdown. So there's no idea of what I'm using versus what my neighbor is using. I'm just paying what you're telling me to pay.
Okay. So to get that implemented, what does that look like? Is that something where it's a contract that I have to sign? Would the buyer, in this case, they would own the building? How long do I have to sign a contract for you to run my RUBS program?
So there's typically very little capital investment. It's just integration with an API, which we do in the back end. It can take a matter of days of weeks. There are some upfront information that we need, you know, the utility provider and things of that nature so that we get the bill. As far as from a capital expenditure, there's minimal. And as far as time and consideration and effort, minimal. I may have just lost my train of thought because I'm trying to hold back a cough. What was the end of your question? I'm sorry.
The contract, is that a contract that the buyer, which would be then the owner, would have for
That's
you to
correct.
run the RUBS program?
That's correct. Typically, I believe we're doing 1 year. And there are 5 years. If you can go, we can go to 5 years if people do that. But right now, what I've seen is 1 year.
Okay.
But if people get used to that and it works for everybody, there's really no reason why you would discontinue.
Okay. All right. So before we go on to the Wi-Fi program, does anybody have any questions on RUBS? You know, right now on metered, that's easy. They get the bill directly. The resident gets the bill directly and they pay it. When the RUBS gets involved, then it gets metered out, right? In this way.
It gets broken down.
Down,
so
right?
They can see where their consumption is, right? Instead of just a bill, it'll say, you know, wash, utility, whatever. It's more of that, like I said, that the consumption you're saving it because you're looking at, wow, that 45 minutes I spent blow drying my hair kind of cost me that week,
My,
So-
oh my. Moses has a question.
Yes, my question is, and I've seen it, I mean, I've done a couple in my lifetime, but aren't there some setback if you have an area where it's all bills pay and you try to implement this, you might lose your tenancy because, for whatever reason, it's not the culture of the market.
I guess it would just be how you position that, right? As a benefit to your tenants versus something negative. That would be my only thing. If they want to see, how their consumption rate or be more involved in what they're paying, it would just be property management's decision.
Yeah,
I
I think like anything, it comes down to analysis, right? Does it make sense? I know that Angel Williams is looking at a deal where everybody else is paying for all of the services and she's staying with bills paid.
Mhm.
That clientele would much rather have all bills paid. So it is an analysis, right? So,
And this
Okay.
is B and C properties usually are easier for this than maybe an A property, right? That might expect more things to be included as amenities. So
and all that is usually on the rubs is water, electricity.
you can have your trash, your sewer, all of that can be broken out.
Got it. Okay, cool. All right, let's go to Wi-Fi.
Okay. So again, guys, just bear with me. If I break up, I'm sorry. So just a quick on Comunify. Comunify came out of a company called Jump Fiber that did wireless solutions for commercial properties and was approached by a REIT out of California. And that REIT said, hey, can you do this same type of solution in multifamily? And Jump Fiber responded, yes, they do. At that time, about 20% of their business was in multifamily. The REIT said, would you focus on multifamily only or to begin with? And that is how Jump Fiber was funded, spawned, born, to kind of satisfy the request from this fairly large, very large REIT that said, we want, this is what we want, and we want you to provide it for us. So that's where Comunify came from, was sort of the commercial wireless, and now Comunify focuses solely on multifamily. So just a little history. When people think about, typically with properties, what you have is every apartment has a router and everybody has their own account. And what happens is those routers are all competing for signals. And people think it's a direct account and it's my own router, but that actually is what causes a lot of your drops, a lot of your disconnections, slow speeds, because those things, they're competing. What we do to solve that problem and to make this beneficial for residents is we come in and we install access points throughout the facility. There's no more routers, there's no equipment, there's no appointments to make with AT&T, there's no bundled contracts where you sign up for this and lo and behold, you got this, and this. So we come in and we'll install all the infrastructure, we'll design it, implement it, install it, and support it. It's little kind of look like fire alarms that you hardly notice, very aesthetically pleasing. And those access points will follow you throughout the entire community. So if you start something in your apartment, you're on a dedicated virtual network. That same network will follow you if you go down to the pool, if you go to the laundry room, and it's private and dedicated to you. You can give people guest access and then they can get on and off as a guest, but your network stays with you and is private, dedicated, and secure. Residents like this, one, because they can travel throughout the community. Two, they're not competing with 80 other different routers in the building. There's, like I said, there's no equipment. Day one, when they move in, they log in through their phone, add their devices, and they're on the internet. Easy as that. It can be offered as an amenity. Some people do that. Like the gentleman kind of said, that you have to kind of judge the I don't know, the culture of the community you're dealing with, what they're accustomed to. Or some people will charge a fee, and that's kind of where property management can make this a revenue generating model. So if they have this community wide internet, and we charge the property management $27.50, and I'll show you guys a slide, just one slide that shows this, and then you charge the resident market rate or above or below $55, $60. That delta in between those two is profit for the property management. Now, we don't, we support the system. So property management's not getting calls about their internet being down. They don't have to hire any new IT staff. And like I said, it's literally revenue for the property. And it can also justify a higher rent. This is what we have. You don't have to worry about calling AT&T. You don't have to be on hold for 4 hours. We have it taken care of. It's your fourth utility. Look at it as such. It's amenity and something that everybody feels now is critical when you look for an apartment, especially student housing. Everybody's going to have internet. So let me just show that slide real quick as we kind of move on to what's for property owners. And I am going to attempt to do this. Let me go. Can you all see that? No?
No. Mm-mm.
No. It's because it's Zoom and I'm not accustomed to the Zoom. Oh, geez, Louise.
Do you want to send it to me?
Yeah.
You could text or you could email it to me and I can send it.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not super accustomed with Zoom, and my computer's telling me I can't have access to share my screen. So I will send that out and Julie can kind of show it. But basically it's a slide that will show you.
Julie,
I call it the value slide.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. Did I interrupt? Basically,
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
I'm
no, go
sorry.
ahead.
Excuse me, Sarah. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
It might help if you make her host, and then she might be able to then share her screen.
Technology, we gotta love it.
She should be able to share. Everybody's able to, it's open for everybody to share, so. Make host. Okay, try it again.
No, it doesn't want to, it's just, yeah. That's okay, guys. I'll get it out to everybody. It's a great slide though, too, dang it. But basically what it shows is you take the number of units and you have $27.50 is what we'll use the number that we would charge property management. Property management then turns and charges the residents $55 for the internet, which is basically what you're going to go out if you're going to get AT&T or Spectrum or whoever on your own and deal with that. That $27.50 difference is the property management's revenue generating every single month on every single tenant. This compounds at a giant rate to where we have a property in Houston that did an initial investment of $150,000 because there is construction costs when you deal with the cabling and the APs. And they added $2.2 million in property value when they went to turn and sell it. So some people hold this, the payback period is usually about 3 years. Some people hold it 3 to 5 years. Some people add the infrastructure and then sell the property with the included value on the projected NOI. So the slide shows it a lot better than I just said it, but hopefully that makes a little bit of sense.
Would you be able to email that to me right now? And then
I can.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
And while you're doing that, it is raining and lightning and thundering in Southern California. That never happens here. Nail, how are you? Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Your
Okay.
hand is up, so I'm calling on you.
Thank you. Hey, Julie.
Hi.
I will be there tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Sarah, hello. Good to meet you.
Hi.
I have a question that really relates to being in touch with you and maybe having you send me or tell me how to reach you. I have a current property that we closed last month in Houston,
Okay.
and I'm in the process of being quoted by Comcast for a variety of different solutions, everything from managed Wi-Fi to, any other aspect of ways in which we can add a tech package to our amenities for our residents, and then figure out combinations of what we want to charge versus where we may have some type of ability to have a revenue share where that's allowable. So there are a
Yes.
number of things that we're talking to Comcast about now. I just got a re-quote yesterday, and we have our asset management meeting on Thursday morning. So it'd be great to at least have some conversation with you in advance of that asset management meeting, because I know we're going to want to have at least 3 quotes if we can before we make a final decision on how to proceed. So your presentation today is quite timely.
Oh, you betcha. We can get in touch, tomorrow, as early as tomorrow. I just need a couple quick information from you. I can take a bird's eye view of the property and give you a kind of a rough estimate. Of course,
Sure.
estimates would be after an audit of the actual property, because you never know what's underground until you get under there.
That's
But
right.
yeah, absolutely. Before you sign anything, take a look. Education is always key, right?
What's the best way to get in touch with you?
My email, and or if you're on here,
Why don't you go ahead and give your email?
I
Because
did
for
ear-
the listeners who
Yeah,
go,
can you throw it all in the
everybody.
chat if you don't mind?
yeah.
so, but the thing is this goes through YouTube and people listen to this. So would you mind putting your email out into the ether world so that people can contact you?
So it's Sarah, SARAH .Flores, FLORES at Comunify, which is COMUNIFY solutions.com. So Sarah.Flores at ComunifySolutions.com.
Thank you for that.
Perfect.
I'll be
You
in
betcha.
touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to talk
Thank
to
you,
you.
Julie.
Sure, absolutely. Now, can you
There
guys,
we are.
do you see it? Okay. So Sarah, before we go to Candace's question, can you walk us through this just so that we're really clear?
Sure. So this is the slide that I like to show investors or people that are looking to, as Julie mentioned in her introduction, it goes a lot further than paint or a new sign. Those are great amenity or great things to add, but this is quantifiable return on what you're doing. So this is an example, fairly large property. Typically you want over at least 100, because the economies don't start to make sense after that, but you want at least about 100 units minimum. So here's an example of a larger property, 528 units. The service fee to the residents, which is their internet, which they're going to go out and get anyways, $55, which is market rate. Basically, I got AT&T at home not 2 months ago, and it was $59.95. So the net profit to the property, because we charge $27.50 for the service, the $27.50 is minus the 55, so that's property. That's revenue to the property, sorry. So the annualized revenue that you're going to collect in that year on this particular property is a $348. The annualized NOI is $174, the money you're going to put in your pocket. Now the distribution system, that is the actual construction of the asset. So that's going to include all of the cabling, all of the wiring, the APs themselves, the master distribution units, all of that stuff we take care of. It's not invasive. We're not going to be knocking down walls and doing crazy stuff. But we take care of all of that. So that's your investment. In this particular instance, $322,000 added him about $3 million in property value. Keeps it for 28 months, he's paid himself back, or he can go and sell it for that added 2.9 million on the projected NOI value. Does that make sense to everybody?
Fantastic.
The
I love this visual. I think this is fantastic. I think
slide
it's very
says it
valuable.
so much better.
Yeah, I love it. All right, Candace, you're up.
Thank you. So my question, could you touch a little bit more on the installation aspect on an existing building? I know you said that there's wires and infrastructure you have to put in. Could you touch on exactly, I mean, and I know it depends upon each building, but like what, can you give us like an idea of like what that might entail?
So if it's an existing building and you're doing any kind of renovation, we always want to work with any kind of construction or renovation team that you are currently working with, because if they're going to be doing anything, taking down walls or improving walls, we want to work at the same time, right? So that we don't have to get in there. Most buildings may have fiber already run. If not, we can run it. And then there's kind of there's a handoff point at the building. We will take care of all of the cabling and installation. It's not a huge invasive project. It can be done in, building A, B, and C, and then D, E, and F, or however you have your property laid out. Like I said, when it's the finished product, you're not going to see conduit all over the place. It's going to be neat and tidy, very aesthetically pleasing. No one will even know it's there. They'll just know that they can walk around and get signal everywhere.
And are there any like towers or anything that need to be added to the roofs to make this work? It's all underground utilities, or depending on the area, of course.
Right. So the fiber is going to run, and typically there's probably already a pipe there, and there's going to be dark fiber. And we basically, we use the same thing everybody else uses. But there's no dishes. There's no, something that's going to go on top and make your property look tacky or ugly or anything. It's going to be very aesthetically pleasing. People won't even know it's there.
What I love about this whole thing is you don't have to wait for the cable man. That is the
No.
biggest pain in the butt.
No,
I was
and no
telling these
equipment.
guys earlier that I sued AT&T for $9,999 because that's what I could do in
Julie.
small claims court. And everybody says, oh, that's big corporation. You're not going to win. And I won because they came in the day after, no kidding, the day after I stuccoed, and they drilled holes and they took wires up and down and put fingerprints all over it. And they said, oh, well, and I said, no, you're going to pay for this. And it's because of the cable, and they can just cause all sorts of problems. So the minimal impact to your properties, that's what I like about this whole approach.
And when you do sign these large contracts with AT&Ts or Spectrums or whoever, they're typically giving you, each resident some type of equipment.
Yeah.
But because the property signed that agreement, something happens to that equipment, the property is responsible for that equipment, not the tenant. And good luck tracking them down if something does happen to that, hopefully that never happens, but it does. So it's just, there's no equipment, nothing's going to happen. We're going to take care of everything from design, implementation, installation, and support. And your residents are going to be, it's going to be an amenity that they're going to not know how they didn't have it before.
Yeah, I just love the idea how they can move about the whole place and not lose it.
Yeah,
I think
it'll
that's
follow
fantastic.
you.
Yeah.
And it's secure, it's dedicated. You're not jumping on different networks. Your network is following you.
Yeah. Senate, you have a question?
I do have a question. I just want to make sure that I heard you right. So you said you pay for the equipment installation up front and there's a monthly fee per unit. Is that correct?
So there's a construction cost, right? Because there is obviously construction involved and there is equipment involved, and it's, the information technology, and there is a cost to it. So yes, you did hear me correctly. There are ways that we have that can offset and finance that upfront cost. Those are deals that we want to make sure we pick the right ones in, because basically we're going to finance the construction cost for you. And then, so yes, you heard me correctly. But there are ways that we are being particular about, but can help offset that cost. And the service fee, yes, sir, because we do provide the service every month, just like you would from an AT&T. And by the way, I'm from Idaho.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was born in Moscow,
I was
Is
just in
Moscow,
Moscow
Idaho?
like 2 weeks
Yes.
ago.
Oh,
Moscow, Idaho.
that's funny. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go real briefly. Is there any other questions on Wi-Fi? This is real. It's not, no more are we doing the telephones, right? Or the cans.
There's
This
no
is really, yeah,
Yes.
this is real stuff. So, okay, let's real briefly run through this solar.
So you guys, if you're interested in solar at all, please join next week when BPI, who is our partner, or their strategic entity partner, will be talking in depth about design, implementation, planning. They do the whole gamut. That's why we partner with them. We do the billing portion because the billing is what can get you. What we have found is that people think that, well, now I got solar and so my electricity is free. No, it's not. The solar accounts for a portion of your electric bill. But what happens is at the end of the year, just kind of like how you pay your taxes, you're getting a credit for the solar, but it's an estimate. So you might have consumed $100, but you're getting billed $50 because they're estimating a credit in there. Now, at the end of the year, they get you what's called a true up. If anybody's had solar for more than 12 months, and solar typically runs on a 12-month billing cycle, in 12 months, you get a $35,000, $40,000, $45,000 bill because they take those credits and they take those consumption and then they put them together. And it doesn't work out, just like your taxes don't work out. You pay some, but you don't get any back. Sometimes you owe. What we're finding in our experience is that guesstimate of credits that the solar company is billing you, not the solar company, the provider is billing you, is nowhere near, when it comes to the end of your true up, what you actually owe. What we do is we can see your billing in 15-minute increments. So it's real-time data, whereas a lot of these larger companies, and I'll just say it out there out loud, Conservice typically is 45 days in the rears of billing. So good luck on recovery, on move in, move out kind of situations. And you'll have no idea 6 months down the road what you're gonna owe in 12 months. So we help with that accuracy, and so that those true ups are not these huge giant gotchas. That's been kind of what we have been hearing over and over with clients that are doing solar, had it for 12 months and say, what is this? And it's a giant bill. So we do offer the solar billing. And like I said, Claire's going to be here next week from BPI, and she knows all the ins and outs about the installation and what you need to do as an investor on that piece of it. We just partner along for the ride with the solar billing because that is a huge headache for people.
Yeah, and I don't think the adoption rate is there yet.
Right.
But I think just like everybody is learning about how do we figure out NOI, how do we look at RUBS, right now you're just learning where's the cost savings? And if we can figure out, okay, how do we impact our energy costs? Maybe it makes sense.
Yeah.
Take a look at it. It may be a no for you today, but maybe as they evolve, it might be a yes for you. And so take a look at it. Listen, come next week. I think it might be very helpful.
Yes.
Again, we didn't see there's a million electric cars out on the streets today. That is a whole heck of a lot different than it was 5 years ago. And it's going to be a lot different than it is 5 years from now. And that's going to evolve as well in multifamily. Who knew that we'd all be working out of our house 3 to 5 years ago? So there's a lot of change going on, and I think it's going to be a very valuable conversation. Candace, what do we got?
I know that the state of Massachusetts, like California, tend to be the leading. That's where I am, is in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and the the building code is changing that for commercial and single family residents in the near future, whether you put solar on your home, you have to have it like plug-in ready. You have to have all the wiring, everything all ready to go for new construction coming in the next few years. I think it's
Yes.
so. I'm just curious. Do you know is that like conversation being in this industry that you're seeing happening for the commercial properties nationwide?
I will tell you that you asked the right question, and I'm so glad that Claire joined, because
Yeah.
this is something that we are seeing more and more. And this is why we partner with a company like BPI Bright Power, because this is what they do. That you're speaking her language, and I'm glad to be affiliated with her. If she wants to jump in on that one real quick, I'd be happy.
Candace, you have to come back next week and hear the answer to that.
No, give her her answer.
That's what I was just about to say, Julianne. Thank you. Let's leave you with that teaser.
Yes. I mean, really, I'm sure it's all in it is in legislative hands, I would think, in many different states, right? And in different counties. So Claire, I'm sure will have quite a bit to share with us. And I'm very excited to have that conversation. It's going to be a riveting conversation next week. I'm sure of it.
It'll be good. It's
Yeah.
something that everybody needs to be aware of, because it's coming down more and more through the pipe. Like I said, education is key, and you don't know what you don't know. So
Definitely. And what we're finding that it is very different between states and legislations right now, but
Yes.
I see in the future that things will start to equalize. For example, we have a property in LA that is required now for 10% of EV charging stations for every property that they build. So that's significant. And so we are really in a position to be able to advise on how that will work, and Comunify is really well set to be able to assist landlords with the billings of those as well.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we had a guy come in 2 years ago who spoke about you had certifications for clean air during going through this COVID and going into businesses, and people didn't want to go to businesses and they had to have this certification. This certification did not even exist 3 years ago, and they came up with this legislation, and now there's clear air going into these businesses. So I mean, it is coming. Their legislation is reacting to the needs of people and not wanting to go into certain areas, not going into these public buildings, not going into different apartment buildings, and so forth. So people are listening. I think in different parts of the United States are reacting, others are not. So again, I'm in California, and we listen differently than, let's say, Texas or Minneapolis. So anyway, all right, listen, thank you, Sarah, so much for today, coming and talking. You did a great job. I thank you for hanging in there.
I can't believe my voice held out.